Chapter 1926, The Crow of Evil. The three crow soldiers were like ruthless fighting machines. They responded very calmly to the siege of the Ao family. Even when a black chariot-level inhuman like Ao Tsongtian took action, the other side did not show any fear or waver. A crow soldier dodged his attack with ease and struck back at him head-on. After Ao Tsongtian stabilized his body on the ground, he swept his left hand to the side suddenly, and a fierce hurricane gushed out from his palm, and the howling hurricane hit the crow soldier hard. The crow soldier's body shook, and he was dragged back a long distance. Black runes moved on the surface of Ao Tsongtian's skin, gradually turning into a black curtain covering his entire body. It was as if his body was wrapped in black asphalt, and then it kept twisting, expanding, and growing. Finally, the black curtain was torn open from the inside, and a huge vulture appeared above the battlefield. Ga. The vulture spread its huge wings, made an unpleasant and piercing sound, and pounced towards the nearest crow soldier like a free-range chicken. The crow soldier was also not afraid at all. He spun the spear in his palm a few times and then stabbed it fiercely towards the sky. The vulture's beak collided with the spear, making a clang sound of metal collision, and both sides retreated at the same time. Odin reminded everyone loudly, "The power of these ghost walkers will be enhanced in the dark, so we must be careful." Soon after he finished speaking, a huge gash suddenly appeared on the chest of a crow soldier. A sword blade pierced through his chest, emitting a scorching light as bright as the sun. Behind the crow soldier, a stranger wearing the uniform of the deputy commander of the Knights Templar held a sword in both hands, and it was he who pierced the crow soldier's body with the sword. The deputy commander of the Knights Templar, Angel of the Sun Middelin. "I know, these guys are afraid of sunlight, right? We have been prepared for this." The Ao family once told others about their long battle with the ghost walkers. Those dark crawlers underground are most afraid of sunlight. Once they encounter light, even young human men with healthy limbs can knock them down. It can be seen that the sunlight has some restraint on them. After Medallin finished speaking, the sword in his hand shone brightly, directly blasting the crow soldier into pieces of meat. The pieces of meat gave off a foul, bloody smell, as if they were a rotting corpse. They fell into the pool and quickly dyed the water black. But even though they were dead, their flesh and blood were still wriggling. "As long as you know the method, you can do it." Deng Shintong came out. Now that he had been discovered, there was no need to worry about the light being too bright. He clasped his hands together, and the power of light gathered in his body, making him look like a god. Such a scene attracted the attention of the knights of the Junjing Church. As representatives of light, they would naturally pay special attention to those with the attribute of light. The key point is that Deng Shintong is very handsome and looks like a nobleman of distinguished birth. Europe has a very traditional aristocratic culture and also has a very long history in certain aspects of culture. Seeing such beautiful aristocratic men will naturally produce a sense of luxury. Deng Shintong opened his hands, and a ball of light the size of a marble slowly rose into the air. When it flew high enough, it burst out with dazzling light. Heavenly Star. This move was originally developed to deal with the lizard men of the Wulwan Empire, and it condenses the light of the sun. It is conceivable that these ethnic groups who have been living in the dark underground without light all year round cannot withstand the sunlight. The shining of Tiandao's star indeed caused the crow soldiers to experience discomfort. They hurriedly covered their eyes, and a layer of black smoke came out of their bodies. But under the light, something even more horrifying happened to everyone. A black forest appeared in the shadows. It turns out that these three were not all the crow soldiers. All around them, tons and tons of them were actually all these crow soldiers. Like a steel jungle, all of them were dressed in ancient armor, holding sharp blades, and their scarlet eyes emitted a bloodthirsty light. Such a scene made Zhang Yi and others' eyes become sharp. These crow soldiers are extremely powerful, comparable to experienced alien warriors. For them, the next battle will definitely be a tough one. Odibio said to everyone, "Those who can become ghost walkers all have strong enough power. So these guys are powerful souls walking in hell. You must be extremely careful. He is not strong enough and is not qualified to be inspired by mammon and fall. Perhaps among these crow soldiers, there are powerful men who dominated the world thousands, or even tens of thousands of years ago. The moment Deng Shintong's light shone, it was suppressed by the darkness, but it also opened up a large area of light for everyone. The Sun Angel Sullivan raised the holy sword in both hands and chanted a hymn. Dear God, we come before you devoutly in this chaotic place and offer you our prayers. You are the eternal light, shining in the darkness, and no darkness can cover you. We live in this world, and although it is sometimes shrouded in shadows and invaded by unknown fears and dark forces, we know that your power is far greater than anything else. At this moment, we pray for your holy hand to descend and dispel the dark demons surrounding us. With your love and justice, cut off the power of the evil ones and make them have nowhere to hide under the light of your glory. As Sullivan chanted, the blade of his sword burned with the blazing light of the sun, rising up like smoke. His armor seemed to be burning, and translucent angel wings emerged from behind him. Zhang Yi and others stared at this scene carefully. This was the way the power of faith of the Junjing sect, the most powerful sect in the world today, was used. Sullivan's chanting also inspired the entire Knights Templar. They raised the holy swords in their hands and prayed to God to give them strength along with Sullivan. Even Olib kissed the holy silver cross hanging on his chest and began to pray. May your holy words be like a sharp sword, piercing through the fog of darkness and breaking all evil curses and shackles. Let us, under your protection, no longer fear the arrows in the dark and no longer be deceived by the tricks of darkness. We firmly believe that nothing is impossible in your power. Now, we rely on your promise and ask you to completely drive out the dark forces that try to disrupt our lives and erode our hearts. In the name of the Lord, we pray, Amen. The light of the blazing sun burned on the bodies of all the Knights Templar. It was a magnificent golden holy flame that made them as full of blazing power as the sun. They opened their eyes, and there was no longer any fear of the darkness in their eyes. Destroy them, they roared and charged at the crow soldiers in battle formation. There was no expression in the eyes of the crow soldiers. They seemed to have no souls. They completely surrendered to the darkness and exchanged their souls for rewards. These elite warriors pointed their guns at the human coalition forces and launched a silent but thunderous charge. Zhang Yi looked at Deng Shintong. Old Deng, can you use your power to support us? Deng Shintong replied, Of course. But if I do that, it will be difficult for me to get involved in the battle. Can, Zhang Yi answered concisely and clearly. Deng Shintong took a deep breath and tried hard to mobilize his strength. He then opened his arms and distributed his strength to others around him. Holy body sustain. Use the power of light to support the body so that a weak body can also possess powerful strength. This method enables Deng Shintong to fight against the powerful aliens who have enhanced their powers. Now it is very exhausting for him to distribute it to other people around him at the same time. But now there will be someone to protect his safety. Even though there are thousands of crow soldiers ahead, Zhang Yi and his men have a group of top-notch warriors in the human world. Zhang Yi held the huge magic sword in both hands. The purple magic sword was burning with the flame of the sun. 100 times faster than myself. Swamp of time, the second hand of time. Zhang Yi quickly stacked up all of his buffs, turning him into an all-around warrior. Without any hesitation, he rushed into the battle formation in front. The crow soldiers reacted very quickly, spreading out in an arc and surrounding Zhang Yi. Then various spears pierced Zhang Yi's body from tricky angles. It can be seen that they are very experienced in combat. However, Zhang Yi swept out with his sword, and the two forces of light and darkness merged into a huge storm. The power of the void combined with Deng Shintong's power of light caused great damage to these crow soldiers. The sword light turned into a storm and swept them into the storm, enduring crazy tearing tens of thousands of times every second. Puff, puff, puff. Without any ability to resist, The crow soldiers were directly sucked into the energy storm due to the absolute gap in strength and then torn into pieces. A large amount of blood and flesh splattered everywhere and fell into the pool of water below, dyeing the entire area below black. The aliens from various forces attacked at the same time. The crow soldiers are indeed powerful, and each of them possesses power comparable to that of an Epsilon-level inhuman. But the sun's rays are indeed a natural nemesis for them. The appearance of the Sun Angels Sullivan and Deng Shintong greatly suppressed their abilities, and they were quickly killed. But even so, their bodies were emitting black smoke under the sunlight, but they did not retreat at all and continued to charge forward without fear of death. More and more crow soldiers were killed, and their bodies fell into the pool. After death, no original substance was left of them, only minced meat on the ground. Fatty Sue holds a 9-toothed rake, and in this area, his abilities can also be exerted by relying on water. The 9-toothed rake smashed fiercely into the water. Thousands of miles of ice. The biting cold spread out from under his feet, instantly blocking a large area, and dozens of crow soldiers in front had their legs frozen. The ice was frozen solid, and they tried hard to break free, but they were unable to do so for a while. Liangyu jumped out from the side and slashed across the air with a sword. The bright sword was burning with flames, and it chopped off their heads neatly. The knife flashed everywhere. Liangyu was not satisfied after just one strike. He wanted to chop them all into pieces before he felt relieved. Sheathing the knife, Liangyu once again accumulated his momentum and prepared to launch the next attack. But at this moment, the pool of water beneath their feet suddenly began to shake violently. Everyone felt unstable and immediately chose to retreat cautiously, keeping a close eye on their surroundings and their feet. Zhang Yi had discovered that the pool of water under his feet had turned completely black, stained by the flesh and blood of the dead crow soldiers. The black water suddenly began to move, very weakly at first, just shaking. But the shaking speed became faster and faster, and gradually turned into a huge vortex. The remaining crow soldiers stopped attacking and looked at them from a distance. The whirlpool of the pool was right in front of Zhang Yi and the others. None of them dared to get close to it, for who knows what methods these ghost hunters would use. But soon they got the answer. A huge figure emerged from the black vortex. A huge crow soldier, wearing black armor. He was almost twice as tall as an ordinary crow soldier, reaching 3 meters in height, and looked almost the same as an ordinary crow soldier. However, the black mist on his body became even thicker, and a pair of black iron wings really grew out from behind him. Appearance can deceive others, but aura never can. The moment he appeared, a strong sense of death and fear enveloped everyone's heart. It was a shudder from the depths of his soul, making Zhang Yi feel cold in his hands and feet. Odibio suddenly shouted in a sharp voice. He is the leader of the ghosts. He is part of the soul of the demon god. The Druk gods are the most difficult to kill in the world, especially the 7 Druk giants who have survived to this day, who can only be sealed. But the seal cannot last forever. During the long years of being sealed, they will slowly devour the power of the seal and become more powerful. During the years when they were sealed, some of their thoughts that were released, like the wandering of a person in a dream, would form this creature that represents the ultimate evil thoughts, the leader of the ghost. The one who appeared here was none other than the Crow of Doom, a leader from the Dark Lords, representing military power and war. Isn't that perfect? That means if we kill him here, we can severely damage Mammon. Odin rode on the 8-winged Pegasus, his body enveloped by endless thunder. He raised his right hand high like a sharp blade, and the next moment, the thunder condensed in his palm into an indestructible thunder spear. Gungnir, the eternal spear. This is a gun of destiny that is said to be sure to hit its target. The moment the Crow of Dole appeared, Odin had already grasped the gun in his hand and threw a dart at the Crow of Dole. In an instant, the Spear of Eternity drew a silver trail in the air and came in front of the Crow of Doom. It cannot be dodged, and even if it is dodged, it will still fly towards you like a tracking bullet until it kills the opponent or destroys itself. The indifference of the Crow of Evil was exactly the same as those crow soldiers. He raised the black gun in his hand to block in front of him, and an invisible barrier suddenly appeared. Boom! The spear of eternity hit the barrier, unleashing astonishing power. Thunder raged like a silver snake, and the aliens of Asgard had to retreat to a far place to avoid being affected. But after the light of thunder dissipated, Odin looked at the enemy in front of him with extremely solemn eyes. The Crow of Sin was still standing there, no. To be exact, it was floating above the pool of water, with its huge black wings gently flapping behind it, and its cold and sinister eyes staring at him. You actually took my blow head-on and were unscathed? The Crow of Sin said nothing, but raised the spear in his hand. The next moment, a vague trace appeared in the air. The moment he raised his gun, it seemed that the trajectory of the future had been produced. Before Odin's astonished lips had even clenched, he had already killed Odin. The huge figure raised the long spear, pointed it at his chest, exerted force violently, and stabbed him fiercely. Odin was a god at this moment, but such a plain spear made him feel strongly threatened. Without the slightest hesitation, he condensed the spear of eternity in his palm, then roared and stabbed at the Crow of Sin. Two guns collided in midair. One of them shone with thunder, and the silver lightning illuminated the entire space around it, making it difficult for people to open their eyes to see clearly what happened there. And a black spear was just surrounded by a decayed black aura, plain and unpretentious, but it broke through the blockade of thunder and advanced inch by inch. With just one strike, it broke through Odin's seemingly unbreakable thunder defense, defeated his eternal spear, and pierced into his thunder armor that was shining with infinite light. Puff! Blood splattered. It was Odin's blood. The spear of the Crow of Evil pierced his chest, lifted him up from the back of the eight-winged Pegasus, and threw him backwards fiercely. Odin didn't expect that he would be defeated so thoroughly. He was not even a match for the opponent. At this moment, a loud bang sounded from a distance, and a stream of black light rushed towards the Crow of Sin from the side. Bang! A huge roar sounded from the body of the Raven of Dole. Something hit his head hard, causing his body to fly out of the world, and also saving Odin, who was almost killed. Odin fell into the pool in panic, covering the huge gash on his chest with one hand, and then quickly used medicine to stop the bleeding. Not far away, Louise, who realized all this, rushed over, bit her finger, and smeared the blood on his wound. Louise, the immortal, placed her heart in a soul-hiding coffin in a secret and desperate place in Northern Europe. Therefore, unless she destroys herself, her body will never perish. Therefore, her blood also has powerful healing abilities. Odin's wounds began to heal quickly after coming into contact with her blood. He looked into the distance and saw Zhang Yi holding a sniper rifle in his hand, with black smoke coming out of the muzzle. It was Zhang Yi's attack that saved his life just now. Odin took a deep breath and said gratefully, "Thank you for your help, Chaos." Zhang Yi just said calmly, "His gun has the effect of swallowing demons." Although the speed of the Crow of Evil is not fast, it is not faster than Zhang Yi's second hand of time. It can predict the future within 4 seconds and can clearly see what happens the moment the two of them join hands. Odin's Eternal Spear is a very powerful release ability, with such destructive power that even Zhang Yi has to be careful when dealing with it. However, the Crow of Evil easily broke the Spear of Eternity because it was the demon-devouring spear in his hand that absorbed a large amount of thunder power. Demon breaking is a very advanced ability among those with strong psychic abilities. This makes up for their lack of long-range damage output and allows them to counter powerful users of various other attributes. The Crow of Doom, which is Mammon's dream incarnation, also possesses this advanced ability. The attack used by Zhang Yi was simple and crude nuclear bomb shooting. With his current strength, even simple sniping methods are enough to threaten the bishop-level aliens. The Crow of Sin walked out from the darkness step by step, looking at everyone present with cold eyes. He still had no expression, and there was not even any anger in his eyes. He just looked calm and murderous. Crack, crack, crack. The surrounding Crow soldiers marched forward. They were wearing ancient armor and holding spears. When they walked, the armor on their bodies collided, making crisp sounds. The sense of oppression brought by this military formation is too strong. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and planned to deal with the Crow of Sin himself. If the opponent is a user with strong genital abilities, then he would be the most suitable person to be the main force against the Crow of Evil. At this moment, Kant's voice sounded in Zhang Yi's ears. Old Zhang, don't be anxious. His abilities haven't been tested yet, so why not let them make the first move? If you go first, won't that give others an advantage? This is not your character. Zhang Yi glanced at his best friend beside him, lowered his eyes and thought for a moment, then quickly and firmly shook his head. This place is extremely dangerous. If any of us try to hide, we may all die here. So now we must act as a whole. Kant sighed. You think so, but what about them? Zhang Yi frowned slightly. Don't worry, I know what's going on. He walked forward and stood at the front of the team, standing with several team leaders. You are responsible for clearing out the miscellaneous soldiers. Although those guys are difficult to deal with, we can definitely deal with them with our military strength. As for this guy, let us leaders deal with him. Zhang Yi issued combat orders to Liang Yu and others. Okay, boss. Fatty Su tightly gripped the nine-toothed rake and stood guard over Yang Xinxin and Li Yangyang. Lu Karen quietly took out the mechanical life form soldiers and followed them behind her snow owl mech. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.